we have Mr. Tom Theo in the house, the Greek warrior
Yes,
himself.
sir.
He's graced us with his presence. How you doing, my bro?
I'm doing great right now. So just busy back in the gym training and preparing for the next one.
I wanted to ask you, getting into all of this, like basically in the first place, what got you into MMA? What really inspired you into the sport?
I'd always just been a fan of martial arts, and I'd always watch kind of fighting movies and that sort of stuff. And basically, what happened was I stopped playing hockey here in Canada when I was roughly 15 years old, and I started watching the UFC, and I just basically just decided to start doing that just because I was needed to fill a void in my life, basically. So
I look at the camps that you guys go into.
yeah,
Sometimes 3 months, sometimes 4 months, sometimes you get shorter ones as well.
yeah,
But the longer short of it, you're thinking about around 4 months to
yeah,
prepare for to have a full camp.
yeah.
What's that feeling like to to get into the octagon after haven't trained for 4 months and you get in there and get the job done in 15, 16 seconds?
It's
Like you've done
it's it's a great feeling, man. Like there's nothing like it. It's a very rewarding feeling. I love being in training camp and having a goal and a focus to work towards. You make a lot of sacrifices, and in order to succeed in this sport, that's what you have to do. You have to make several sacrifices, and so when it all comes to fruition, when I knock my opponent out, it just feels incredible. So it's the best feeling.
Yeah, man. I mean, you also got like a 46-second finish and a 58-second finish on your record.
Yeah.
Like, what about your style and mentality that leads to this kind of ultra quick finishes? Like, talk us through that.
Like as far as I'm concerned, going into a fight, like I'm going into a fight. Like I'm not here to point south some guy. Like is in my mentality, this guy's trying to kill me, so I'm trying to kill him. And if he's standing in front of me, I'm gonna punch him in the face or knee him or kick him or do whatever I can to hurt him.
Mm.
And so yeah, that's basically my mentality.
Incredible right there. I mean, you're from Canada, right?
Yeah.
Being from Canada, because Canada is a big fight country. You know what I mean? Having
Yeah.
someone like GSP come out of there. Uh, uh, did his career draw some kind of inspiration to you? Was it someone you looked up to growing up? And
Yeah, of course.
second part of the question. Sorry to jump in there.
Yeah.
Sorry to jump in there.
Yeah.
And do you think he's the GOAT? That's part two of the question. But
Okay.
yeah, please feed us with part one.
So George St. Pierre was definitely a huge motivation and someone to look up to. He was a great influence. Like he's a very true mixed martial artist, which means like he's always training. He's passionate about it. He just works really hard in the gym, and he helps others, and he's a great role model to look up to. And growing up, he was a massive star in the UFC. Like I don't know if many people, a lot of newer fans, they didn't realize how big GSP was. It was like when GSP was fighting, everyone wanted to watch and everyone wanted to kind of, see what was happening. And he was like almost as if like he was a smaller version of Conor McGregor, in my opinion, at the time, just because like his name value was just absolutely massive. And I do believe he's one of the GOATs. Like it's very difficult for me to deny John Jones as a GOAT. Like I don't think he's ever lost. Like it's that one loss on his record is ridiculous. And like the guys he's beat, like the quality of opponents he's had, like he's beat every light heavyweight legend that has been, competing in and around his time. So I'd say John Jones and GSP for sure.
I agree with you. I mean, if you ask any of these other GOATs that we go and look up to as GOATs, they also put John Jones in there anyways.
Yeah.
If they're being real, they
Yeah.
always put Jones in there, So
I don't know how you couldn't, man.
Yeah, it's impossible not to put Jones in there.
Yeah.
I mean, if you could train for a camp with, say, any UFC fighter,
Yeah.
who would it be and why?
It's a good question. I probably Damn, that's a good question. I don't know. I like training with Darren Till the one time in Vegas, so I would just say him. He's a cool guy,
Yeah.
and his fighting style is like super fun and exciting to watch. He's a good character in the UFC, and we're the similar weight classes. Like he fought at 170, I fought at 170. He fights at 85, I fight at 85, but I'm moving back down to 70. It's like we're kind of like the exact same weight and style. So yeah, it'd be cool to do a training camp with him.
I mean, just mentioning somebody like Darren Till, and we all know about Darren Till over here in the UK.
Yeah.
He's from Liverpool over here. Would you? I mean, his style of fighting. Would you see yourself as more of a fighter or mixed martial artist?
I like viewing myself as a mixed martial artist, but I would
Right.
say I'm definitely more of a fighter. Like I said, like we spoke earlier, as whenever like I step in there, as far as I'm concerned, I'm in a fight, right? Like, and so I'm going to do everything in my power to win, and that's just like kind of clobbering the guy. So
Yeah.
that's kind of my answer right there.
yeah, for real. All right, because I know you have some reference towards boxing as well because of
Yeah,
your style. Is this something that you probably see yourself transitioning into?
that's a
Maybe
good question. Yeah. Yeah, like I've got two training partners, MMA training partners that are transitioning into boxing in November. And
Okay,
yeah, they're fighting here in Canada, Montreal, and I'm
right.
actually going down to corner them. And so I think I could
Very
definitely see
interesting.
myself transitioning into boxing. I'd like to see myself do kickboxing as well. Like,
Right.
but the thing is with my mentality is I want to fight MMA and fight, continue to climb the ladder. And, if I were to just kind of do that, in between, I think I would lose focus on MMA. So
Mm-hmm.
I would do that at the end of my career where like I could afford to run those miles, right? Like because it's a training camp and being in a fight, you're running a lot of miles in your body, right?
Yeah.
And so I mean, like I'd rather run those miles doing MMA as opposed to kickboxing, boxing, because MMA is where I am. I'm an MMA fighter, so
Yeah. Got you. Got you. I mean, looking at the scene of boxing at the moment, and even you talking about going to corner, you know, some of your teammates there in that part of the sport. You guys are doing it the right way. You're doing it the proper way.
yeah.
What do you think about YouTube boxing? The YouTube fighters that goes into YouTube boxing. Do you think is positive for the sport? Is it negative for the sport? What's your take on it?
I think it's all bullshit except Jake Paul and Logan Paul do a really good job at it. Like I would definitely tune in to watch their fights. Like I'm super pumped to watch Jake Paul versus Anderson Silva, who
Mm-hmm.
is one of my all-time favorite fighters.
Yeah.
And so like damn, like I'm so excited for that fight. Like they're doing an amazing job. I can't give them shit, but like the other guys that are like now like it's almost like a thing now where you're seeing a bunch of these guys come up and they're trying to do it now and this and that.
Mm.
It's like Jake Paul and Logan Paul are the OGs of it, man. Like
Yeah.
they're the OGs of it, and they're doing a good
Mhm.
job. So
What was your hardest loss, and how did you bounce back from it so effectively? Like the hardest one to take.
yeah, I fought this guy named Colt Menzak, and for that training camp, I trained my ass off. Like it was like I put every ounce of energy. Not like I'm saying I don't do it for other training camps, but for
Yeah.
this one specifically,
Mm-hmm.
like I would go into like a yoga room and do hot yoga for an hour, and I wouldn't drink any water, and I would just be sweating so much just because my mentality was if I quit in the yoga room, that means I'm gonna quit in this fight. Like I gotta like just like suffer like a shit ton just to win this fight. And then I just watched way too much footage of him, and I did what I was planning on doing. It worked. I dropped him with a kick, but then I was just going back to it too much, and I didn't have any like plan B, C, D, and that sort of stuff.
Mm.
And then like I lost in the first round in that fight. I was super depressed. I was like couldn't even get out of bed for a week, and then I just booked another fight like a month later, and I ended up head kicking my opponent, knocking him out, and that's about
Wow.
it. So
That's insane. That's absolutely insane. That leads me into this next question here, because talking about head kicks there, knocking out your opponent, uh, sense puts chills on your butt. It's crazy. If you were defending yourself
Yeah.
in a real situation,
Yeah.
how would you approach it versus like a scheduled fight? Because you just talked about head kicking somebody into oblivion there, so that just made this question all the more crazy. Please tell us.
Oh God. I've been in a few of those, but I usually would just punch him in the face and just wait till he'll just fall on the ground and just go, okay, this is over.
Oh
Just hit
God!
him once and that's it.
No extra armor fees just to make sure
No,
you
I
don't
can't
get
do the hammer fist. No, Herb Dean isn't in there. So if we had Herb Dean around, then yeah, but no extra punishment.
That's right. Oh God! Oh, that made me laugh right there. What's your favorite meal? Like your favorite cheat
Ooh.
meal? Your favorite cheat meal after eating clean or clean?
I actually did this on Monday. I went to all you can eat chicken wings and had beer with my buddy. So I would say chicken wings and beer for sure.
Chicken wings and beer.
Yeah.
You can't
Yeah.
go wrong with that. You can't go
No,
wrong with
man.
that, man.
No.
That's a good one. How do you make sure you're continuing to develop and stay at the highest level? Because we know your journey doesn't stop at the EFC.
No.
You definitely want to get to the elite of the elite, right
Yeah.
to the top. How do you keep yourself sharp?
There's no how do I describe it? I'm very happy that I won the fight.
Mm.
There's not much time for celebrating. I know that. I want to have a big year next year. And so, in order for me to do that, I'm going to be needing to go right back in the gym and continue progressing and innovating my skill set, which means, doing more kickboxing, more strength conditioning, more wrestling, more jiu-jitsu, more everything. So it's just a matter of staying consistent and continuing to learn every single day, making sure I go to bed, satisfied with how I progress that day. So
What do you eat and drink? All right, the night before a fight, do you have like a ritual, or do you have some like a go-to? Like Usain Bolt.
Yeah.
He's got to eat chicken nuggets before he goes to
Yeah,
race.
that's crazy. That's
So
crazy.
do you have something? Do you have something like that? That you go to?
I don't have any specific ritual go-to meals.
Mm-hmm.
I just basically base it off of what my weight is at, what I was before, what I'd been eating in training camp, what is around the vicinity. Like for example, in South Africa, what's there for me to eat, and the food was very similar to Canadian food. It was there was honestly not much of a difference at all. Like you had Greek places, you had Italian places, Japanese places. It's very multicultural sort of stuff. But what I like to do the night before the fight, after the weigh-ins, is kind of just to go out to eat with whoever my teammates and coaches are around, and just try to take my mind off things and just not talk about fighting and talk to people that I care about, and we're just kind of going back and forth and just having regular conversation, because the night of the fight, when I get back to the hotel room, I'm just super anxious, and the next day it's a very long day, so to speak, and so I just try to take my mind off things the night of the fight, or sorry, the night before the fight.
Fighting for promotion like EFC, and some of the shows that they put on, how difficult is it for you logistically to to travel from
Yeah.
Canada all the way over there, compete, get back home? What's that like? Please take us through that.
So I'd been used to traveling all the time for my fights. Every single one of my fights I've traveled for. This one was obviously a much longer distance. My last fight previously was in Alaska, which was roughly a 15-hour travel day. So like I'm kind of getting used to that sort of stuff, or I am used to it now. But one thing I mentioned to my coach was when we're on our way there, I go, the Russians or Brazilians, they never bitch about travel. You never hear them bitching about coming to North America and fighting and traveling and getting fucked up by the time zone and doing this and doing that. So that was my mindset of, if they could do it, I could do it. So yeah.
Yeah, that's it's a good way. It's a perfect way to actually think about it.
Yeah.
How would you feel, or what's your take? Not even how would you feel, but what's your take? Say YouTubers got into MMA and started doing like MMA matches, like how or do you think they should just stay in their lane and talk about fights? And you know what I mean? What's your take on that?
I would just probably proceed with caution. MMA is no joke, man. And like it's there's a lot more to it than boxing. I respect boxers, professional boxers, a significant amount. They're amazing, tremendous athletes, very disciplined. They're killers. That has nothing to do with these YouTubers. You know, if a boxer wanted to decide to do it, then you know what, they're tough enough, and I'm sure, you know, if they had the right tools and the right training, they could definitely do it. But if you talk about a YouTube guy coming in and wanting to fight MMA, it's just not going to happen.
Stay in your lane is basically
yeah.
You all heard him. Tom said it. Stay in your goddamn lane. Okay, how do you deal with the stress and pressure of going into the cage? Because I'm one of these fans. Some people try to say MMA fighters they get scared, and I always say, like, I think scared is the wrong word, because this guy's trained to get hit in the face. You know, but pressure and nerves, it's probably the right word. But being scared is not one of those.
For sure.
How do you deal with that?
I like to listen to a lot of music and just like visualize what's gonna happen. Like ever since, like, you know, the second I find out I'm fighting, I'm just visualizing the whole day, the whole time, every day. Like I visualize my fight happening. Like, oh, I'm not even kidding you, a million times. Like how I would walk out, how I'd get the Vaseline put on me, how I would get my name announced, how I'd feel, you know, standing in front of my opponent and we're, you know, squaring off together, and, you know, the weigh-ins and the flight there, how I'm going to feel, this and that, like going through the weight cut, all that sort of stuff. It's all visualized about a million times before the fight. And that just helps me remain focused. So
your deal with EFC, is it like multi-fight deal, right? So
no, it wasn't a multi-fight deal.
Was it just a one fight deal?
They wanted to do a multi-fight deal, but I just couldn't. I'm definitely open to fighting for them again, and we've already been discussing about it. But you know, having them like in South Africa, like they do an amazing job with promoting me and marketing me, and, you know, treating me spectacularly while I'm out there and everything like that. But I just don't want to sign. It's not only EFC. It's just like I don't sign multi-fight deals with anyone unless it's a UFC or Bellator, right? Like I'm not getting locked down anywhere. So unless it's UFC or Bellator or even like PFL, then you won't ever see me signing a multi-fight deal.
Right, because obviously when those big guys come calling you, you want to be free enough to go out and, you know,
strings attached type of thing. I'm a no strings attached type of guy.
Yeah. We know what that means. So it's a good way to go. It's not a bad way to go. There's worse ways to go. So actually, I relate to you on that one there.
Yeah.
Just before we get you out of here, I wanted to ask you, what's your favorite fighter of all time? I mean, maybe you could go up to 3, because saying one person is a little bit tough, isn't it? You know what I mean? But give us your top 3.
Michael Bisping, Anderson Silva. I would say BJ Penn was at one point. Quentin Jackson. Quentin Jackson's actually the guy that got me started watching UFC. So I have to say him. Yeah, those four I would say.
There's been you mentioned some really good names there. And one of my
Yeah,
favorite. What would you say one of your favorite bouts?
Bisping versus GSP, 100%.
Bisping GSP.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
my days, that's a really good fight actually.
right.
Mine GSP versus Koscheck
Yeah,
was one of my favorite fights, and
really.
that fight was so damn technical.
Yeah,
I mean, the way GSP was, I mean, the way he was laying off those jabs, no telegraph for it. I mean, he turned Josh Koscheck's face into a paint bud.
yeah,
Like what he did in that fight was so amazing, and
yeah. I think he broke like Koscheck's orbital bone or something like that.
yes,
He
indeed.
did, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and Koscheck coming into that fight,
Was so cocky.
so cocky coming into
So
Canada
cocky.
as well. So I thought, yeah, you know
Yeah.
what, that's one of those that that
That
stick
season of
lock
The
in
Ultimate
memory.
Fighter was really good, actually. My
Yes,
favorite season of The Ultimate Fighter was probably Frank Mir Nogueira, though.
yeah,
Like I started
yeah,
watching the
that's a good
UFC
one.
from The Ultimate Fighter. That's how I became a fan, was through The Ultimate Fighter. So
Yeah, absolutely. What's the one thing you hope our audience knows about you today before watching you compete again?
that that I'm passionate about the sport, and I'm always looking to improve. And you should definitely watch my next fight because I'm pretty damn exciting.
Fantastic. Look, we're definitely going to be, stay on your journey. We're going to be on your journey with you, and every time that you go out there to put on a show, we're definitely going to be out there supporting you as well. Is there anything that anybody you want to thank? Merch, your team, people you want to promote? Please, the
Yeah,
floor is yours.
just my friends and family. Thanks for the continuous support. My coach Chris Hordeski, Irfan, Ram, all my training partners, all my sponsors. Thank you so much. And yeah, that's about it.
Yo, guys, this is Adrian Yanez telling you to use those handles. Hit, click, like, and subscribe. Fuck yeah, dudes. If y'all don't do it, man, fucking catch the hands, bro.